Welcome to IRG's Health Talk. I'm Tom Huntler along with Shannon O'Kelly, physical therapist and president of IRG Physical and Hand Therapy, and our guest, Julie Mahler, registered dietitian from IRG Gateway Physical and Hand Therapy.
Well, Julie, thanks for coming back with us. And again, you're a registered dietitian, have a wealth of knowledge regarding kind of diet and food consumption and some of the challenges that we as Americans face, particularly since we are in this obese nation, if you will. So one of the things that I wanted to kind of peel the onion back on is sugars. And we hear sugar is a problem. And why is sugar such a huge interest for you in the dietitian world?
Well, recently there was research done that showed sugar itself can increase risk for heart disease in Americans. And if you look at, so how much sugar is the average American taking in? That could kind of be the first question. And it is 22 teaspoons a day, which translates into 14 4-pound bags of in a year.
Hold it. So what you're saying, on an average, just so we get clarification, Americans eat per day 14?
In 1 year, the average American eats 14 4-pound bags of sugar. And all that sweet stuff is leading to a lot of disease and obesity.
Yeah, so hang on. So when you talk about sugars, let's try to break this down a little bit more. There's two types of sugars, in my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong here. There's natural sugar that you can get in your diet, yes, and there's processed sugar. And tell us the difference.
Yeah, so you can buy a product where the manufacturer has added sugar, and that can be a corn syrup, high fructose corn syrup, brown sugar, and you can even look at products like gluten-free products where you think, oh, it's all natural, this is very healthy for me, but you look on that label and there can be 2 or 3 listed added sugars. With one way to look at it is if it ends with OSE, like a maltose, that can be a sugar, and another way if it just has a syrup, or it can just list sugar. And so that's one way to get an added sugar. Or you can add sugar yourself, to your coffee, to your tea, to your cereal, to your fruit. There's all sorts of ways Americans have figured out ways to add.
Okay, so when we talk about sugar, that the sugar that you buy in the grocery store in the baking section, would you call that, is that what you would call processed sugar then?
Absolutely. That's like the white table sugar.
Right.
But then you also asked about, there is naturally occurring sugar, and that comes in fruit and that comes in milk. And that's completely different. That's okay to have. That kind of sugar is absorbed differently in our bodies. It does not increase our blood glucose. We feel absolutely fine with it, and we get all sorts of nutrients from the food itself. So you're absolutely right. We have to separate an added sugar from a naturally occurring sugar.
Okay, you mentioned, I think, daily intake for the average American in sugar. I think you said 22 teaspoons.
22 teaspoons
That's
a day.
incredible. That's incredible. Think about, if you think about it, just a teaspoon and doing 22 of those during a 24-hour period, who's the biggest culprit, or what is the biggest culprit of our sugar in our diet?
That's a great question. So number one culprit is sweet drinks. It could be sweet tea, lemonade, soda pop, those types of drinks. That 40% of our sugar intake comes from there. So I have had clients, always men, sorry women, you just don't seem to respond as well, but they drink 1 or 2 pops a day and they cut that out, and they're down 20 pounds in 3 months.
So pop, sweetened sodas, sweetened drinks is the primary culprit. What about diet pop?
Now, diet pop is controversial, and you get one dietitian saying one thing and another one saying another thing. I say it's hard to only drink water, because that would be the recommendation. Have water, and you could put lemons and limes and whatever else people create to put into their water. But if you have a diet pop a day and you do not have any side effects, because if you were to have aspartame and you were to have an immediate side effect like a headache, or you get kind of a stuffed up nose, then I would say if you don't have any side effects, it's okay to have a diet pop a day and to really enjoy it, because it's something different from your water intake. Another good one is tea. If you can have that tea without a sweetener, it's awesome. You have antioxidants and hydration.
Right. Okay. So here's the deal. As I'm listening, and I'm raising a family in our fast pace, high work environment that we all live in, what kind of things can I do around my house to maybe substitute good sugar for bad sugar, if you know what I mean? And not that I don't want to say bad sugar, but the stuff that's difficult for us as far as weight gain goes.
Yeah, absolutely. Number one, get rid of the sweet drinks. And just because it says like an energy drink on it, get rid of those too. The next one that you could do is to buy products that are not sweetened. For example, if you like almond milk and you bought vanilla almond milk, you could buy the unsweetened vanilla almond milk and you get rid of 3 teaspoons of sugar right there per cup. See, if you had a couple of cups a day, that gets rid of 6 teaspoons. And then if you think, wow, I really don't like unsweetened vanilla almond milk, you can add your own sweetener and then you're in control. Maybe a teaspoon of honey, which has a tiny bit of antioxidants.
Well, see, I was going to ask that. That's what I was thinking too. A natural sweetener, is honey better for you, obviously, than a teaspoon of sugar?
It's a great question. You're not getting a lot of nutrients from either one, so I would not say it's. You get a tiny bit more nutrients from honey, but you have to watch all intake, whether it's natural or not, from sugars, those added kind of sugars.
Because sugars, I mean, again, we're talking about sugar being kind of a problem, particularly processed sugar, because, I mean, when you look at diabetes and type 2, particularly diabetes, I mean, that's a huge kind of indicator, right?
Yeah, but really with the heart disease connection, the obesity connection, the diabetes connection, and the other part that people kind of forget is they're not getting the nutrients they need. Mm-hmm. If you're eating processed foods, how are you going to get your fruits and vegetables and whole grains and lean protein and dairy products? It would be impossible. So that's what I like to help people with, is coming up with ideas of how to get the food you need. And if you do, your blood pressure comes down, your cholesterol comes down, your blood glucose comes down, you feel better, you have more energy, and to do that kind of one step at a time. If you're eating a cup of fruit right now a day, increase it to 2 cups a day. But it sounds so easy, but as you pointed out, it's not easy. Yeah. So you have to go to the grocery store, you have to figure out a plan.
It's a plan. That's exactly what it is. I mean, you're right on.
Specific plan.
And that's what you're really good at. I mean, I think the thing that is helpful is everybody needs a coach, I mean, we as humans, it's nice to have a coach, and that's what you are really there for, is to help. Because just talking to you, I mean, right now I'm going, this is so simple. You make it so simple. You really do. So if you need a coach and need to contact someone like yourself, I mean, particularly, how would someone get a hold of you?
The best way to get a hold of me is to call Murphy's Corner Physical Therapy, and their number is 425-337-9556, or you can email me directly, and my email address is juliem@irgpt.com.
There you go. Everything you need to know about sugars. There's good sugars and not so good sugars. And thanks, Julie.
Thank you.
If you would like more information on this topic, as well as how to contact Julie Mahler, registered dietitian, go to irgpt.com and click on the For Health tab, or go to IRG Physical and Hand Therapy's Facebook page.